Hey guys, welcome to Jonard Tools Tool Talk. I am Ed Cerbona, the Senior Director of Engineering, and today I have with me Brandon Sarine, the Solar Goat. Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. So I have been designing tools for 34 years and have been with Jonard Tools for the last 21 years, designing tools and basically building our product lines. So today we have, like I said, we have Brandon Sarine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to be here with Jonard. I'm really excited for this podcast. I'm a solar panel repair technician based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I post a lot of content on social media, and a lot of people know me by the handle Solar Goat. It's kind of like my branding.
Yep.
But I like to wear a camera on my day to day and film like the different situations I get into related to the solar panel industry. And
That's fantastic. So how long you been doing that now?
so I started out in solar about 10 years ago, but I started out doing some sales,
Like selling solar
like
panels.
selling solar
Going
panels.
door to door. Those guys that show up at my door.
That
and
would
stuff.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So I actually had a job in accounting, and one of my friends came up to me and he's like, "Hey, there's this thing that you can do where you buy solar panels and then you purchase the electricity it produces rather than paying the power company, and it's cheaper." And I was always really interested in like new technologies and things, and I actually walked out of my job and quit
Oh, wow.
and drove out to Arizona for a job interview the next day. And that's where I started in solar and just kind of fell in love with the technology, the people, the tools, everything, and been in the industry, 10 years. And
Great, great. So now Solar Goat, where did that come about?
so Solar Go, that started when I started posting on social media, which was only like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And so I was at a customer's house. I was fixing his solar panel system, and he was like, "Have you ever heard of TikTok?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. What's this?" And he pulls out his phone, and he's like, "It's this app where you post videos about whatever, and they go viral." And he's like, "You should post a video about this job." And so I filmed a video that day on my phone and posted it.
Were you doing an install or the sale side still?
This is install time.
Okay.
So I'm doing like a repair on a totally botched solar panel install, like something that's like very consistent with what my content still is today. And I posted a video about it and had a lot of success and a lot of fun making the video.
Right.
And then I needed like some kind of handle or something like that, and I had a few, and then I finally landed on Solar Goat. And there's the bragging rights of like being the best.
Right,
And like the conflict that comes with like putting yourself out there as the best and everyone being like, "No, you're not." And so I think that kind of helped my channel and all that.
I can guarantee you it did. We have done that here on some various TikTok videos, and they literally blew up. I mean, just took off. And it was silly stuff, fiber optic related, and it just took off and exploded. But it was a lot of fun doing it. So
Yeah. I really enjoy making videos and like posting about my day to day because it's a lot of work. Like you can get burned out easy.
of course,
I enjoy making content.
that's awesome. I think that's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your day to day, but besides going and getting breakfast, lunch, and a snack in the afternoon?
So right now I'm based out of Salt Lake City and I do a lot of like repair and maintenance. And I
Right.
try to like filter through calls and get the most like high priority jobs that are more towards the disaster cleanup, where it's more of like there's mold, there's water intrusion, there's if something's burning, I'm all over that job. If you say something's on
course.
fire on my roof, I'm there in 5 minutes. I want to see that. So
Right.
it's good content and I know how to deal with that.
Right.
So taking a solar panel system, inspecting it, assessing what damages there are, if there are any, removing those panels from the roof, and then, making any necessary repairs to the system.
In your day to day, what are the typical tools? Is there any specialty tools that you run into, or you feel that's really specific to the solar industry? Because I know a lot of guys, they have their screwdrivers, pliers, etc. They have some multimeters and test equipment. And is that enough to get started, or are there things that you should have that are really geared towards the solar industry and solar install and maintenance and repair?
Yeah, so as a solar installer, the joke is with most people is like you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you're a roofer. It's like like the amount of tools a solar installer needs is absolutely ridiculous because you're kind of crossing over a lot of different trades. Like, are you framing? Are you adding rafters in the attic? Are you doing roof repairs? Are you, installing the actual hardware? Are you doing electrical? So there's a ton of different tools. And something new for the industry is now that we're doing battery systems and solar panel systems are getting so much more sophisticated, there's a lot more low voltage. And there's a lot more specialty tools with like batteries and things like that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think of it from that perspective. I didn't think of it from the perspective of the construction side, adding rafters. You're trying to support, I suspect, the additional load on the roof, but based on the weight of solar panels and stuff like that. Like especially where you're from, us here up in the Northeast, we get snow and we can get a lot of snow, and then having those solar panels on the roof along with the snow pack buildup. But yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll do engineering and they'll come back, oh, this is an older house. What is it? What's the spacing of the framing, this and that? Oh, it's not adequate for the weight of the solar panels and the snow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do when you install the solar panels and going into the roofing side of this now? So you're blasting bolts and screws through guys' roofs. Is there anything you would typically do to help prevent water leakage, stuff like that? Right now, this is my own curiosity.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's like the number one concern of any homeowner, right?
Of course it is.
They're like, you're putting those on my roof. How? How many screws? How are you sealing it?
Right.
There's a lot of cool technology and like testing that's been done with like different brackets, and that's like come a long way in the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
When I remove an older installation, they would take like an L foot,
right,
they would put some sealant on the bottom of it and they would just screw it to the roof.
Okay.
So,
see, that's what I envisioned in my head.
Yeah. So like the older solar panel systems, it's interesting to get one of those and then maybe do a new install with like the hardware that we have now and see like what's the evolution of that. What have we learned as far as like, does that leak? Does it not leak?
Right. So that hardware, does it come with like, do they use like a sticky back tar paper that would go underneath the L bracket, doing other things like that to help keep the water from penetrating in? And
yeah, like the best technology I've seen is compression.
Okay.
Because like if you have a lag screw and it's going through the rafter and it's pulling that bracket so tight to the roof, nothing beats compression.
Right.
If you have a solid attachment, but what the market's leaning towards right now is butyl.
Okay.
Because butyl is a product that's been out forever and has a lot of testing on it. So a lot of the new brackets have like a butyl back sheet, and then that is placed on like a composite shingle or even a butyl back sheet for say a tile, where it goes to the underlayment underneath the tiles, and then screwed into either the decking or the actual rafters themselves.
Okay, those would, on a typical asphalt shingle roof, you'd screw right through the shingle, or do you actually cut out the shingle around the sides of the bracket and install it?
You just put it right over top. Does that make you concerned? What do you think about that? I want to know your honest opinion.
Honestly, I don't have an opinion. I'm trying to, as we're talking, envision in my head, how you're up on the roof actually doing that work.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say, okay, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Even on an asphalt roof, as long as you have something that's able to create a seal because we're all worried about water getting into, our attic, our roof, and then
Yeah.
rotting out the roof and all that stuff. As long as it's something that is, beats a gobs of silicone underneath the bracket, then slap the bracket down, then I'm okay.
Well, I was gonna ask because like the first time I saw those brackets, I was concerned.
Right.
I was like, I don't know about this, but something I learned is from like roof repairs where I say, hey, my roof's leaking, come check it out. Something all of them had in common was when the solar installer is trying to locate the rafter, like you're banging the roof with a hammer. There's no stud finder. You might be
Right,
able to
right.
use some high industrial like concrete one or something, but you're just listening to the taps
Yep.
until you find it, and then you're placing the bracket. If you miss, you just drill the hole through the underlayment, through the decking,
Yep.
through the shingles. How do you fix that? That's what leaks. It's not the attachment itself, it's the mistakes that are made of putting the attachment on the roof. So what I like is a lot of the new attachments, they use structural screws that are rated for direct to deck or rafter. And so you place the bracket wherever your best decision is on that rafter, and then you put the screws in. And some of those screws are going to hit the rafter.
Right.
It's kind of like the simplified, concept of that. And then you're not drilling any unnecessary holes in the roof. And then the compression's there, the butyl's there, it's sealed.
There you go. No, that's cool. I didn't know that, and that was very informative for me. It really was. I really think that's great. So, going back to your daily routine, talk about some of the things that you would end up doing, like on a repair, or let's say somebody just says, "Hey, my solar isn't outputting what it should be. I don't have enough power in my house. My electric keeps kicking on."
Yeah, that's something interesting about solar because it's like it's been around for a while, but like in large, like solar wasn't cool until like maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Then everyone started to get like popular and started to do
Right.
it. So what we found in the industry is we didn't know what problems we were going to have, and we still don't. And so a
Okay.
lot of these situations, like it's a puzzle. Like you say, hey, this solar panel system isn't producing enough electricity to offset my energy usage, but it was. Usually the first thing I go to is, are you using more electricity? And you can rule that out. I see a brand new hot tub back there, and I'm like, yeah,
Right.
I know what the problem is. Got a
Right,
hot tub or a
got it.
Tesla. But like a lot of this is, do solar panels last that long? Do they start producing less electricity over time, and why? And so
Right.
we're starting to find out that they can degrade and they can break and there can be failures, and that goes back into like testing equipment.
Right. Right.
It's like
Yeah.
we're creating new tools to be able to test that situation to say, oh, is this solar panel outputting the right amount of electricity, and why not? If
Right.
so,
No, that's really good. Because that for us is an avenue we may want to explore. Testing solar panels, or actually, you mentioned batteries. What do you use for testing some of the systems? I'm not saying we got to talk about that now. I'm just thinking that could be avenues for us as a company to explore as we seek to understand more about the solar industry and the issues faced, and can we help solve some of those problems?
yeah, and that's
And
one of the
provide
reasons why I
tools,
like you
so-
guys is you're innovative.
No,
You're looking
thank
for
you.
new tools,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah,
Like Jonard is
we
always
are.
putting out new tools, new gadgets, new things.
It's what we do. It really, for us as a company, it is a backbone of what we perceive ourselves and what we hope our customers and people that are aware of us perceive us as. That we actually come out with a lot of tools because we're constantly talking to people such as yourself. What are the problems, the industries that we cater to face? Okay, and then not only that, what are the industries that our tools can be brought to that we haven't maybe thought about or aren't necessarily there? So we're always looking. That's one thing we're always doing,
Yeah.
is looking and trying to give people a quality tool at a good value. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's like not only is it creating new tools for like testing a situation to kind of like figure out what's going on, but like what I've seen with solar is solar's kind of moving into different industries too, as far as we're going the smart home route. Like everybody
okay,
wants like an app on their phone that says how much does the solar panels produce or what is that electricity going to? And when you go to
right.
that, it's like you need like the low voltage stuff.
Right, right. And low voltage is certainly an industry we cater to and have a lot of products for. Talking about that technology part, building, what do you see as technology um, on the horizon, or where do you see solar going, and what are some of the new things coming out?
The thing I'm most excited for is it's called vehicle to home or vehicle to grid. And it's
Okay.
this idea that like, hey, we're buying all these electric vehicles that have massive batteries
Yep.
and we drive them. Can we do other things with them? And there's this new concept coming out that like not only could you charge your electric vehicle with your solar panels, but you could discharge your electric vehicle to back up your home.
Right.
And
Right.
that's something that's like just barely coming out. Ford has been one of the companies that's like leading on that with their Ford Lightning. If you're
Right. Right.
familiar,
Yep.
they have like a whole home backup system where you plug in your Ford, the truck, the Lightning,
Yep.
and it backfeeds the house when the power goes out.
Right.
Which is, I think that technology is just absolutely crazy. And the thing I love about it is because electric vehicles are, I'm going to say, affordable when it comes to comparing the cost of what that battery pack would cost installed on your house.
Right.
And so
right.
it makes solar panels like more obtainable because you can drive your batteries.
Right.
You get double use on them.
Right. No, I think that's really good. What about the solar panels themselves? Is there anything going on with them right now, making them more efficient, or if you're aware of that, can you talk about that at
Yeah,
all?
they're getting a
So,
lot higher wattage, but there's a catch. They're making them bigger.
okay.
So like,
Okay, yeah. So they're putting more panels on a panel.
yeah, exactly. So like solar panel technology itself is like it used to be that we'd be like, "Oh, now we have 300-watt panels, 315-watt
Right.
panels." We've kind of plateaued with like the current technology we
Okay.
have where you're kind of going off of what's the price point? How much does it cost to make this more efficient? And
Right.
there's like a level of efficiency that we're at that I think is good. And from there it's only let's make them cheaper. Let's make them more affordable. Not cheaper,
Right.
but like more
Yeah, less
obtainable.
expensive, more attainable for everyone.
Yeah, so solar panels are kind of plateaued there. It's the battery technology that's
Right,
getting
right.
better. And
It's everything else with that. The electronics and stuff in there. How important are they to the overall aspect of the solar panels, tying to the home, and then getting maximum efficiency out of that? Because I know if you got a whole solar panel system on your roof, it isn't just we're just piggybacking. We're just going to splice them all together and then hook it up to your panel box and we're done. No, there's more to it than that.
yeah, it's
So
really complicated. In fact, like one of the more popular brands, it's called Enphase, and they have a device on every single panel, and it's basically a computer under every single panel, and it's doing a lot of crazy stuff with the data it gets from that panel, where it's like communicating to a device through the electricity. It's monitoring it. It's optimizing the amount of power that it's producing. It's giving, homeowner data and everything like that. Like the technology as far as like just plugging something together and getting DC electricity
right,
versus what we have now is just crazy.
right. Yeah, that's what I understood. That the electronic part of it is really, really advancing and advancing at a very fast pace. Is what I've been hearing and actually saw somewhat recently. Like you and I were talking, and mentioned having the thing on your ability to monitor what your solar panels are doing on an app. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
just that alone, never mind the efficiency aspect. And then what do you do with that? You then talk to the customer or the homeowner and say, it looks to me like at 4 to 6 p.m. or 4 to 7 p.m., you're just energy hogs.
Right.
Let's look at what it is you're doing, and then maybe you want to change that to other times, or do it maybe in the morning or during the day where your solar panels have the best chance of light, and maybe not do it in late in the evening or something like that. Just the ability to maybe adapt someone's behavior to make them help their house be more efficient.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit from it, because I think we take electricity for granted. Like,
of course we do.
You never care. You just turn on the microwave. You just know it's gonna work.
But know when you care, when it's not there.
Yeah, when it's not there. And so it's maximizing self-consumption would be the industry term on that, but it's smart. It's to be aware that the sun is shining, you're producing electricity, and then you could run a load in your home, the dryer,
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Don't bake your turkey at night. Bake your turkey during the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah.
That's just being smart about what it is you have.
Yeah.
And using it to the best way possible. So, are there anything with solar that we might need to worry about in terms of safety aspects, whether it's for the homeowner or the installer, things that you just need to be cognizant and aware of?
Yeah, because we talked about roof leaks. That was the first thing. It's okay, we don't want water on our house if we're fixing them to our roofs. But yeah, that's the next aspect, right? Is this going to catch on fire?
Right.
So I think that is something to address.
Let me ask this: why would it catch on fire? What would be some of the main reasons that something like that kind of catastrophic failure would occur?
So the easy one to look at would be consistent with all electrical, right? Just a bad wire termination.
Mm-hmm.
You have something that could be simpler, burning up an outlet. Aside from that, when you're looking at the panels themselves, if the panel is damaged in some way, especially with the older panels, what I'm seeing is that there'll be concentrated heat within the solar panel itself. And then the panel will heat up and get really hot and start to melt things or break the glass and so that's that, and that goes into the instruments too. How do you prevent that or know that that's happening within the solar panel itself?
Today's technology have the ability to pick up on some of that.
Yeah, I like to you can go old school, go touch the panel.
Okay. Like we were talking about prior to the podcast. No, I'm not going way up on my roof to go find that out.
No, there's something cool I was looking at. It's a drone. It has a camera on it that measures temperature.
Right.
Fly it over and then look at the array and see, that panel's getting really hot, or it has a bad cell on it and that cell is getting hot. So there's some cool technologies that would be quick, monitoring, surveillance of the system, and check out to see if there's, any heat signatures from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. What about the built-in electronics? Some of these advances, have they been able to do that themselves yet? A panel report back, hey, I'm overheating.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, there's a little bit, they don't necessarily have built-in temperature sensors for the solar panels, which maybe you just came up with the best idea out there.
Okay.
but the devices themselves will shut down if they get too hot or if they have a fault.
Right.
Which is built-in safety, right? If you have a device, a computer under every single panel, and it knows something's up, it will turn off.
Right.
Which could prevent, from something worsening.
Right.
That's going to be an isolated thermal event. It's just going to be within that one panel.
That one panel.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm taking away, heat, the creation of heat, bad wiring are some of the key things. I imagine, obviously, also some Mother Nature damage, tree dropping on something, on a panel or something.
Oh, I had a good one the other day, golf balls.
Okay.
I don't know what it is with people on a golf course, but all of them decide
Yeah,
they want solar
they all
panels.
aimed. I'll tell you, they all aimed for the solar panel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, the tee box is over there. I'm like, you had to be trying.
Yeah. Well, half of it is somebody sucks or had a bad shot, and then there's a portion where they're on their fifth, sixth beer.
Yeah.
Who can hit the solar panel?
Yeah. So something like that, like a golf ball hits a solar panel, breaks it, damages it. That's a situation where you could have some kind of thermal event within the solar panel. And like as the homeowner, you could be unaware of those damages to your system.
Exactly. So no, that's good. Good bit of information.
If you want to talk about fires, you should talk about the batteries though.
Oh,
that's the scary stuff.
Well, yeah, it's the scary stuff because you have all that concentrated energy in one spot. That's the issue, and then you have the chemicals and stuff associated with the batteries, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah, and I think
the
lithium burns at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
If all those batteries are lithium, and they do. They burn that hot because there's a tremendous amount of energy stored in them, and that's predominantly why. Because it has all this energy concentration in it. Yeah. It's not a good thing when those things go up. No.
Yeah, definitely not.
No. So, I wanted to ask you. So we made a toolkit with that we proudly put your name on it. Let me ask you, how'd that come about?
So one thing that I noticed, like being a solar installer, it was like different from other trades because depending on what trade you're going into, you had your tools.
Yeah.
Like if you're a framer, this is the recommended tool bag.
Yep.
And you have your hammer, you have your chalk line, you have your crayon. You know what that kit is.
Right.
We were missing that in the solar industry.
Okay.
So collaborating with you guys, we met together, went over with the team and said, what are the tools that specifically a residential solar installer needs to have on the roof in order to terminate conductors, wire up a box, crimp on different connectors and things like that, and put together a kit that was specific to the task that solar installers were doing.
Right.
And
that's great. I think that's great. And, working with someone like you, I really think for us, it's just a big plus. So really very happy with it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited for that kit. It's called the TK96. And it comes with all of the different, tools, some crimping tools, heavy duty wire strippers, a small screwdriver.
Right.
Which I can't tell you how many times I've been on a roof and been like, where's my small screwdriver? It's like, you got to have it. That's like the one missing piece. And then another multi-tool screwdriver.
No, that's great. It's just awesome. So, with that, I think we could wrap it up unless there's anything else you'd like to throw out there that's on your mind.
Oh, no. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you and enjoyed this podcast.
No, I absolutely did too. Love it. So with that, I guess we're going to sign off now.